Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Monday Night Raw review, and with 13 days to go until WrestleMania, I have to say this Raw was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I feel like it was significantly better than last week's Raw, where I just really could not get into it at all. I thought we had some worthwhile segments, some interesting storyline progression, and the closing segment for me was especially entertaining. But let's shift it over to my cohort and commentary. Ashton, what did you think of this Raw tonight?
I enjoyed this Raw tonight. There was only really kind of one particular part that I was angry about, and by the end of the night, it ended up getting solved. So I almost had a heat of the night, but by the end of the show, the heat of the night went away, and I can honestly say I had no heat of the night. That being said, 2 weeks ago was an 8, last week was a 4. This week, I would say we're back up to a solid 7.
Yeah, I would agree with that score. I had fun with this show, really no complaints. I really didn't feel any vitriol towards this show. So with that said, I mean, you already said that you have no heats tonight, so do you have any nitpicks either? Anything you want to address negatively?
I don't think so, no. I mean, it's funny because, believe it or not, I actually thought commentary was pretty decent tonight. It was at the very least tolerable.
Yeah, I have to even agree with you on that assessment. I really didn't have any problems with commentary. JBL even made me chuckle a little bit here and there, and we know he's like the worst offender at the table. Yeah. So, with that said, I'm of the same mindset as you, so we can bypass our heat of the night and go straight into our Monday Night Raw review. And while you and I may be feeling pretty good, this show opened up with a group of people that were not feeling so jolly and happy, and that is the Authority. Seth Rollins feels deeply hurt by the actions of Randy Orton last week, says, you betrayed me, Randy, and he makes sure that nobody gets it confused with what he did to the Shield, because he says the Shield was a business decision, but what Randy Orton did to me when we all brought him back into the fold, that was a betrayal, Randy, and pretty much everybody echoes his sentiments. You have Kane and Big Show apologizing to Seth Rollins, saying, oh, we're sorry that Randy, suckered us in. Kane makes sure to point out that he wasn't as gullible as Big Show, but still they're both very remorseful about how they could let this happen. J&J Security is also beside themselves. Jamie Noble very emotionally wounded that his friend Seth got hurt like that by Randy, and Joey Mercury is so upset, Ashton, he can't even speak. So the Authority is really kind of in emotional shambles here after the attack perpetrated by Randy Orton.
Yeah, I love Joey Mercury's new gimmick of guy who doesn't ever talk.
It works so well for him.
He's like the WWE's answer to Silent Bob. I feel like he's going to have this sort of character where he doesn't even attempt to talk for a while, and then he's going to go through a phase where every time he tries to talk, and he's actually now all of a sudden he wants to, but every time he attempts to, he gets cut off by someone or something. And then eventually the time is going to come where we're going to get the payoff, and he's going to finally be able to speak, and no one's going to cut him off, and he's going to say one of the most enlightening things anyone's ever said on WWE television before.
Yeah, you know what? I'm waiting for it now after that. I mean, when you put it that way, I'm just thinking what brilliance lies behind, his mind that he's not sharing with us. But what Seth Rollins cares to share with us is he says, look, the only thing that's going to hurt worse than we did all, last week after your beatdown, Randy, is your ego. And as far as your WrestleMania challenge goes, I accept. He continues to run down Orton on the microphone until Orton interrupts him. Orton pretty much says that, last week he made Rollins look like a little bitch, and Orton accepts the challenge of, WrestleMania, and then Rollins says, hey, I'm only really going to accept that challenge and really give you what you want if you face me on Raw tonight. And then, Orton kind of mulls it over, and he says, Seth, I accept your challenge, And this was kind of a little bit bothersome to me, but I kind of passed it over because, again, by the end of the night, like you, I was okay with it. Because he says, and I anticipate that it's not going to be you and me one-on-one, that you're not going to come out there alone. You're going to have the authority with you. But you know what? Even if I get beat down, it's going to be worth it because I still get you one-on-one at WrestleMania. So he's willing to endure all this pain to get at Seth Rollins, which is something I can admire, but then you automatically make the assumption you're going to get a one-on-one match at Mania. Doesn't really compute for me personally, but all right. So, yeah, that's pretty much this segment. These guys have a match now for the main event of Raw. Randy Orton is so desperate to get his hands on Seth Rollins that he's openly, willing to go into what he perceives to be a trap. So,
yeah, this was what almost caused me to have a hit of the night, because Seth Rollins is like, yes, Randy, I'll accept to fight you at WrestleMania if you accept to fight me tonight. And it was basically, I'll fight you if you fight me first.
It's really ironic that two guys who I feel like have gimmicks that make them two of the most cerebral competitors in WWE, Orton being the Viper, Seth Rollins being the Architect, are looking like two of the stupidest people in WWE right now at this whole angle. Because Seth Rollins didn't think that Randy Orton was going to beat the crap out of him last week, even though all the red flags were present. And then Randy Orton openly says, yeah, I'll have a match with you, even though I've already computed, everything that could go wrong in the scenario. And pretty much like you said, yeah, I'll fight you if you fight me first. It's just, I don't know, it's just so humorous to me, the two guys that I think have been known for their tact and their shrewdness and their coldness and their calculative personalities are making follies like this. It's downright laughable.
Yeah, well, and on top of that, really, another thing that really kind of irked me was Randy Orton basically saying, and look, I'm willing to accept the fact that it's going to be 5-on-1 tonight and that you guys are going to all gang up on me because all I have to do is get through that, and then I get you at WrestleMania, where, that's totally not going to happen again.
Yeah, it's like I'm willing to go 5-on-1 to get 1-on-1 at WrestleMania, said no one ever. What made you think that was actually going to happen? But yeah, I mean,
I could understand if he wanted to make it like a cage match.
Right.
Or like a Hell in a Cell, or, I could say an Inferno match, but that doesn't really fit with them. And the last time we had an Inferno match, the entire match is built around the guys on the outside trying to get in, so maybe that wouldn't work. But I don't know, maybe like a Texas Bull Rope match, or one of those matches where you're tied together, or something like, I don't know, something that involves preventing the other person from running away and preventing other people from getting to you.
I completely agree. It would have made more sense if such a stipulation was in place, but
it
alas,
wasn't.
It was not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we have the complications we do. But again, they were resolved at the end of the night. So for that, I still say that this is a nice opening segment, and it got across what it needed to. So with that, we get hyped up, a contract signing that's going to take place between Rusev and John Cena, and a pre-recorded interview with Brock Lesnar. And then we do things a little bit differently, and I have to say I kind of like this. We have our first match of the night, but the first match of the night is a Divas match, AJ Lee versus Nikki Bella. And I have to say, I appreciated the effort these two women gave, and they even had a match that had a commercial break in it. So, it was a breath of fresh air, so to speak, Ash, and I enjoyed this.
Yeah, it was, man, it's so weird because it's one of those things where, like, the WWE has done so much lately to make me think that they don't know what they're doing, and then they do something like what they did tonight, and it's like, okay, maybe they do kind of know what they're doing.
Right. Bella's continue to hype up their tag match with the screen promo before the matchup, saying, Paige and AJ, how are you guys going to be able to coexist? You've been at each other's throats only recently. We've been teaming together our entire lives because we're sisters. Get it, Ashton? Get it? Yeah.
Right, and you weren't at each other's throats 4 months ago, one of you talking about how you wish the other died in the womb.
I was getting ready to imitate it, but you beat me to it, and yeah, just, so many holes there. But then they're like, give Divas a chance. Give us a break.
And then the WWE was like, okay, how about a 4-minute commercial break in the middle of your match?
I know, right?
How's that for a break, Bellas? You got it.
But I must, and I can't believe this sentence is about to come out of my mouth, I must give Nikki Bella credit, because I enjoyed some of her antics in this matchup. Early on, she controls AJ in the corner, and she does the push-ups, to which Scott Steiner was like, ha! What's going on? But
the big bad booty mama.
And then I liked how some of her tags, like at one point she worked over the arm of AJ. She kind of hung it on the ropes. I guess maybe that would make it more difficult for her to hook in the Black Widow. I really didn't know the full psychology beyond it, but I thought it was a nice tactic. Tried to be, I guess, more cerebral, pick her apart a little bit. AJ had a nice comeback offense because she was really being grounded by Nikki. I think even at one point she did a crossbody off the top. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, she sure did.
And, they have a nice back and forth. Now, admittedly, towards the tail end of this matchup, Ashton, my stream froze up. But I know that Nikki Bella got her forearm in on AJ, and she hit the rack attack, so Nikki Bella does win.
Well, here's the thing. For what it's worth, okay, first of all, somebody on Reddit actually timed it, and apparently this match was actually 8 minutes and 30-something seconds long. So they get credit for giving it more time. However, 3 to 4 minutes of that was taken up by a commercial. But regardless, which, I think this is like the third week in a row now. Every week since the hashtag Give Divas a Chance, we've gotten a longer Divas match, but it always has a commercial break in the middle of it. So
right.
That's an issue to me. But regardless of that, I don't know if you missed this or not, but Paige and Bree got into it on the outside, and Bree knocked Paige out, and it distracted AJ long enough for Nikki to take advantage.
Okay. And see, I personally think that this is the right decision here. They just had a screen promo about how they work so well together and how AJ, Lee, and Paige aren't going to be able to coexist. And you see Bree paying dividends, neutralizing Paige, and then Nikki capitalizing on that distraction. So I feel like the right decision was made here. It gives the heels some momentum before Mania. Of course, I really can't say that yet, not until we do our preview and predictions. But as it stands, I currently expect the babyfaces to go over. We'll see with 13 days remaining what they do.
Yeah, what I liked, though, is that the trash talk that was going on the outside, because at one point, I think it was AJ threw Nikki out of the ring, and then AJ followed her out, and it looked like Bree was going to start doing some dirty work, but then Paige came over, and Paige just kind of got up in Bree's face and prevented her from doing anything, while AJ threw Nikki into the apron, into the side of the ring, like gut first, and then tossed her back into the ring. And the Paige was just like, yeah, that's your sister. What are you going to do about that?
I love it, dude.
And yeah, then they kind of tussled, and Bree threw Paige into the ring post. So that's actually a pretty cool, like, dang, these women are going for it. And I really like that they're giving them an opportunity to do so.
Oh, absolutely. We have been begging for this, forever, really. You can't even put a timestamp on it, because I think fans everywhere have been asking for something like this. And they're slowly getting there. Progress is progress, and it should be commended. So a solid opening bout. I enjoyed it. We go from that to we find out that we're going to have a 6-man tag tonight. Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, and Dean Ambrose versus Stardust, Luke Harper, and Bad News Barrett. Because, why does R-Truth need to compete? And then we see a WrestleMania 31 commercial with LL Cool J. And then after that, we get a recap of Mark Henry and Roman Reigns from SmackDown. And then back to the actual Raw product, we get Renee Young backstage with Kane and Big Show. And show goes to talk about the matchup between Rollins and Orton tonight, but Kane interrupts, and they have another quarrel like they did last week. Seth Rollins comes in, and he berates them for it. He's like, come on, guys, what did Stephanie say to you guys? You're acting like children. You need to get it together. You're making me look bad. How could you do this to me? How stupid can you guys be? Kane gets upset. He says, hey, Stephanie can talk to us like that, but you cannot, and you've just been acting like a spoiled brat ever since I enabled you to become Mr. Money in the Bank, and win that contract. So I'm not going to be present for your matchup tonight. I'm going to leave that decision as well to Big Show. Show, you decide whether or not you're going to be in Rollins' corner, and Big Show pretty much walks off, implying that, no, I'm not. Go screw yourself, Rollins. So, yeah, things go from bad to worse for the Architect, it seems, and Seth's whole world is just falling apart.
Yeah, he was in a pretty bad spot here, losing really the two only assets that could have helped him against Randy Orton, because, as awesome as J&J Security are, they aren't really going to do anything to Orton except for maybe distract him long enough for Seth to recover.
And, remember, Ash, Jamie Noble is the secret weapon of the Authority.
You might as well be the Shield at this point.
Yeah, it might as well be.
Everybody knows that J&J Security and Seth Rollins are Shield 2.0.
Exactly. God, I really love those guys. But, so yeah, we get that. And then our second contest of the night, Ryback versus The Miz. Not really much to say here, Ash.
Our second of 4 actual matches tonight.
Were there only 4?
There were 4 matches tonight, and I just think it's hilarious because there are so many people that are butthurt about it. Like, oh, guys, 3-hour show, 4 matches. And one of them, the one that we're talking about right now, actually, was a squash.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. There's not going to be much of a review here because Miz got decimated. What this match was really more about was, again, that building
And really,
tension.
if you think about it, I would almost say 2 of them were squashes because the actual tag team match, not the 6-man tag, but the actual tag team match was pretty much a squash.
Yeah, more or less. But, yeah, what this matchup really served to do was, again, heighten the tensions even more between Miz and Mizdow. Miz gets beat by Ryback again after the meat hook and the shell-shocked. After the matchup, Miz nails a skull-crushing finale to Mizdow, who just tried helping him up. What a dick move. So, we continue those tensions. Miz did have a screen-and-screen promo, I believe, where he said he will win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And Mizdow's going to help him win, otherwise Mizdow will be fired and go back into obscurity where he came from. So I'll be very interested to see how that tension, how that dynamic plays out within the confines of the Battle Royal at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
We go from that to our contract signing between John Cena and Rusev. And here's the funny thing for me with this segment, Ashton. I enjoyed it, and I know you did too for certain things that they did, which we'll get to in a second. But at the same time, you know what? I'm actually glad this angle is happening. I know you and I have been groaning with the whole USA, and the nationalism and the xenophobia and this and that. But you know what? I'm glad that it's got a public forum to be aired out because I think John Cena is the perfect representation with how he's acting in this particular context. With everything that is wrong with America.
I know, dude. Look at this. Just look at the picture. When both the guys were there and the camera zoomed out, you look at the image and you see a white guy in a t-shirt and jean shorts showing up for a contract signing that the other guy showed up in a 3-piece suit for.
I know, right? The big thing, because Cena comes out, and I'm not going to go verbatim with his promo. He pretty much says that Rusev is a disgrace. The idea that he's United States champion and he represents all of us, I can't stand. I've been with the servicemen and women, and I'm proud to meet them and interact with them, but at the same time, I'm also ashamed to have to tell them that Rusev has that title. And I'll give Cena credit. He made the U.S. title in his promo, at least in my opinion, seem like a bigger deal because of what it represents, or what it's supposed to represent, and who's currently holding it, and that conflict that exists. So I did like that, but still it was peppered in with all the, America's great, and Rusev doesn't appreciate anything, and blah, blah, blah. And then, he comes out, dressed for success, does Rusev. Also in tow is a male with him that is significantly less attractive than Lana, which the crowd lets them know because the crowd breaks out and "We Want Lana" chants, I believe twice throughout the course of this segment. And I guess it would be Rusev's attorney makes known to Cena, hey, this contract is null and void. Let's look at the evidence. They recap Stephanie's, ultimatum to Cena, and she specifically said Rusev had to sign off on the WrestleMania matchup. Lana had no authority to do what she did, giving John Cena that U.S. title match.
Do you know what I love?
What's that?
I don't know if this is what they were going for, but yet again, in a pretty typical Ashton move, I'm going to pretend that this is exactly what they were going for, because in order for me to enjoy this segment even more, that's what I have to do.
Okay.
I think Rusev, in kayfabe, fired Lana for accepting that match.
I'm inclined to believe the same thing.
And they just completely sweep it under the rug, like it never happened. They're going to be like Lana never existed, and then when she finally does show up, everyone's going to freak out. I mean, even the crowd tonight was chanting, "We want Lana," so she's obviously over. If there was anything holding Rusev back from his final form of heeldom, it was Lana, because, I mean, equality or not, feminism or not, at the end of the day, there are a lot of people who still don't like booing a pretty lady.
That's very true. That's very true. And it was evident by this crowd tonight.
Yeah.
And then I love this next part, because this...
And if you really, I mean, it's kind of hard to see it through our eyes, because we, do this dumbass thing where we think with logic. And we think that it was a stupid idea and that the whole segment was awful. But if you really think about it, knowing that John Cena is technically the face in this feud, the last act that Lana performed on WWE television was a babyface move. She gave John Cena the U.S. title shot.
That's very true. That's a great point.
She's coming back as a face, man. Holy crap.
Yeah, man. That's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out. But then, wait, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I hope that when she gets done filming the movie that she's filming, I hope that she doesn't come back right away, and I hope she goes to NXT and gets really, really good in the ring, because I want Lana as a babyface in the Divas division.
That would be amazing. That idea is very attractive.
Because I know that she does have in-ring aspirations.
Oh, see, I did not know that. I thought she was
I know for a fact, she is an in-training diva, but they just felt like they could use her on the main roster for this specific spot because she did so well with it on NXT, and I guess at like house shows and behind the scenes and that kind of stuff. So they've been using her before she's really ready to do anything other than what she's already doing.
Yeah, and you know what, dude? I love it because it gets Lana that exposure without having to look bad in the ring, like saying Eva Marie already did. Like she was dead on arrival when they put her in the ring. But now Lana, she can get better, and she got the exposure. If that's not having your cake and eating it too, I don't know what is. Because she's not she's learning on the job. She's not learning on the job like a lot of people criticize Kelly for. Where, she's getting better in the ring. No, she's doing that privately, while publicly we're seeing some of the best facets of her personality and her character. That is awesome. I hope everything you just said comes to fruition. But now, what I wanted to say was my opening remarks about this segment, about how I'm glad all of this is happening after all, even though I have soured on a lot of it, because John Cena, I think, perfectly captures everything that's wrong with America. You could sum it up within these next few minutes, because the lawyer then makes the revelation, hey.
Dude, before we even talk about what was said, elephant in the room, the lawyer was the worst fake Russian I've ever seen in my entire life.
He was so bad, commentary was ragging him for it the entire time.
I couldn't tell if he was trying to have a Russian accent or if he was trying to do like just this terrible, just awful, stereotypical Jewish accent, or if he was trying his hardest and just doing a really bad job at a Brooklyn accent. I couldn't tell. It was that bad.
It really was. But he does make the revelation to Cena, hey, Rusev will sign that contract, but only if you grant him his First Amendment rights and allow him to, speak his prepared statement. And so Rusev grabs a statement, and the statement, more or less, is America is a failure. Its parents are failures. Its children are failures.
And then John Cena takes his shirt off, and I say to myself, I find it very disturbing how quickly John Cena is willing to disrobe at the mention of children.
Wow, I'm not even touching that. What I was getting
you
ready
think
to
you're
say,
untouchable?
Oh God! What I was getting ready to say was, I love how quick Cena is to anger and to violence when somebody is trying to exercise their First Amendment right in a way that he doesn't agree with. And that's why I'm saying...
I even tweeted that out about how, like, oh, this person is saying something that I disagree with. Time to physically assault him.
I think Cena, I've criticized him a lot. America! I've criticized him a lot for, like, how he handles himself in his feuds with Orton and just so many... I mean, take your pick, and I could probably find a problem with it. But this is especially bad because he's sending so many horrible messages about how to properly love your country and what to do when you're in a disagreement with somebody, what to do when you want something from somebody. He beat the crap out of an innocent man last week simply because he wouldn't grant him the right to a match after that man already beat Cena at Fastlane. I mean, Rusev really had nothing more to prove. Heel, face, whatever. He won that match. Cena, because he's not like everybody else, I mean, earning contendership, that just seems like a crazy idea. I'm John Cena. My resume speaks for itself. So what does he do? He bypasses any other potential contenders, and he just beats the crap out of the champion. That's a great message. And then tonight, he is seething. Like, if he didn't think that Rusev was going to grant him that match, he would have pummeled him again. And why? Because Rusev was just exercising free speech. So really, in another odd twist here, for those like us, Ashton, being as old as we are and exposed to all the things that we've exposed ourselves to, Rusev's the babyface here, and John Cena's the scumbag. But, of course, that entire audience, USA, 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 and it just makes me cheer for Rusev harder and harder, even though I know it's just an act of futility. After he goes through his little speech and tells John Cena to his face that this country's going to die, he signs the contract, and he immediately flips the table so he can make his escape. But the match is on. Cena-Rusev U.S. title at WrestleMania. I thoroughly enjoyed this segment. The lawyer was great comedy. Rusev had a great look with the suit in his promo. He just continues to refine his game and be one of the top heels in the WWE right now. And even Cena, the first half of his whole thing where he was putting over the U.S. title, I enjoyed that. So this segment gets a big thumbs up for me, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, this whole segment, it's weird because I could say it was bad, I could say it was cringeworthy, but at the end of the day, the one word that I think everyone would use to describe it was entertaining, and that's what they went for, and that's what happened.
Absolutely, completely.
And we have a record breaker, we have a history maker, because it didn't end in physical violence as much as Cena wanted it to.
Yeah, look at that. Rusev showing the restraint. Suck it, America. Anyway, I completely agree with your sentiments on that segment, so moving on. We have the New Day versus Cesaro and Tyson Kidd. You pretty much did the review of this match earlier. It was basically a squash. We had Los Matadores with El Torito come out to watch from ringside. They pretty much try and distract the champions at one point, but it doesn't work. Cesaro gets an uppercut to the back of Kofi Kingston's head, and he gets the roll-up for the 3 count. So Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, the tag team champions, team uppercats, do get the victory. And then after that, Los Matadores and them, they get into a little scuffle, but Los Matadores do end up on top. I don't know why these guys are getting pushed so aggressively all of a sudden. It amazes me that PTP or the Ascension aren't probably going to be a part of this program at all. That stuns me. Well,
yeah,
you know what? I will stand by stuns because PTP got back together and they said this time we can win the tag titles. They gave the Ascension their first loss, and now, they just fell off the radar. I haven't heard from these guys in a while. I don't watch Main Event. I know you don't either. I'm just talking about on Raw and SmackDown. Interesting development, though, since we're talking about tag teams, I just want to mention this here. Jey Uso did suffer a shoulder injury, so I don't know what the status for the Usos is going to be at Mania. Maybe they'll have to forfeit their spot, and then maybe the Ascension or PTP can step in and get a tag title opportunity. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see.
We will see. But after that, we get more hype for Brock Lesnar set to speak. And then we get a backstage segment with Seth Rollins, Joey Mercury, and Jamie Noble. Pretty much Seth Rollins says, hey, guys, tonight you just got to do everything that I tell you. We got to make sure that we can't let Randy Orton, gain any edge on us. And then Jamie Noble pipes up and he says, well, Seth, you told us to leave last week. We did follow your orders. We always do. And Seth, I said, excuse me, Jamie. I think he said something about having permission to talk, or did I say, you could question me? And then Jamie said, well, if you had done exactly what I told you to do, because Jamie had warned him last week that I don't trust Randy, I don't think you should be doing this, then none of this would have happened. So it's your fault, Seth. And Seth pretty much slaps Jamie Noble in the face. He says, you know what, you don't talk to me that way, you're fired. Jamie Noble's like, you can't fire me. I quit. And he pretty much walks out. And he says, can you believe this, Joey? We don't need him, right, Joey? And Joey just shrugs his shoulders, and he walks out. And then says, oh, that's how it's going to be, huh? Fine. So that's how that ends. So Seth Rollins, again, his whole infrastructure continues to disintegrate. We then go to our pre-recorded interview with Brock Lesnar. I got to say, I love the video packages and stuff like this that they've done for Brock Lesnar ever since he returned to the WWE in his first feud with Cena back in, 2012 at this point. Yeah, really consistently always well done. And, of course, it takes a look back at the streak ending. And, Lesnar says, you asked me about the people that were disappointed by the streak ending. He says, I don't care. I enjoyed it. I love the people crying and being upset in attendance over it. And he says, regarding my contract status at WWE, whether I stay or whether I go, I will still be WWE champion. Roman Reigns won't stand in the way of that. He says he's going to kick Reigns' ass, and it'll be unlike any other ass beating he's received. Lesnar says there won't be any happy feel-good moment because he's going to F up Roman Reigns, and then that's pretty much the promo. I just love I love the sincerity with which Lesnar speaks, and what I mean by that is you can have a million guys get on a microphone and say, I'm going to kick your ass, man! I'm going to kick your ass! And when Brock Lesnar says it, he doesn't even need to scream it or get himself pumped up. He just needs to say it like he would say any other ordinary sentence.
I honestly think that Brock is one of the most underrated mic guys in the company right now.
I would agree.
Because it's not about what he says. It's really not. Because, I mean, he pretty much does say what everyone else is going to, maybe just turned up to 11, because he doesn't say, I'm going to kick your ass. He says, I'm going to dismantle you. I'm going to F you up, as he said in this. But it's about how he says it, because he says it nonchalantly. And even though he's saying it as if he doesn't care, because of who he is, it makes you listen and you believe him.
Completely agree. I just love how legitimate he has been as champion, and I think that's really why I've enjoyed this run. I hope he doesn't leave. I hope a resolution can be hammered out. But, I mean, if this is the last time we are seeing Brock Lesnar at Mania, which my gut tells me it won't be, in all honesty, but if it is, I'm going to enjoy every second of it because they don't come as legit as Brock Lesnar, and that's a fact. We go from that to Big Show versus Eric Rowan. You want to talk about squashes. This wasn't even a formal match. Big Show destroys Eric Rowan. He nails a knockout punch, a big elbow drop from the second rope, pretty much just leaves him absolutely lifeless, and then Big Show leaves. So the idea is Big Show was taking out all of his frustrations on being berated by Seth Rollins out on Eric Rowan. So, yeah, that was a thing. Eric Rowan continues to look like crap, and Big Show, well, he's still competing in 2015, so what do you really say to that? Yeah, my sentiments exactly. We get the Larry Sabisco is going into the 2015 Hall of Fame. Congratulations to him. We go back from the break and we see Kane is in the ring with several of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal participants. Kane says he brought them out there to teach them a lesson, but then Mark Henry interrupts and he says, we're getting ready to have our own March Madness. And Henry pretty much says that he's going to be in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and he's throwing his name in the hat tonight because that's what he does. And he goes in the ring, and pretty much all the bodies get eliminated fairly quickly. It's worth noting that Curtis Axel stays on the outside with the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal trophy. It comes down to Kane and Mark Henry. Mark Henry's getting ready to push Kane over the top rope, and then Axel comes in. I think he knocks Kane over, so he kind of assists Mark Henry, and then he tries to get Mark Henry over. You can imagine how that went. Henry says, no, headbutts Axel, throws him over the top rope, so Henry is the last man standing. However, despite that, I still have a gut feeling Axel Mania is going to run wild in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, despite the pitiful performance here. So,
pitiful? He made it to the final two.
That's true, but only because he stayed on the outside. But regardless, you know,
does it really matter? I mean, Rusev is the final two for the same reason this year at the Rumble.
That is true. That is true. So perhaps it's shrewdness and not brute strength that will award that trophy this year.
Heck yeah, and maybe, just maybe, if he does the same thing at the actual armbar, the guy who's left in the ring won't be too big and heavy for him to throw over like Mark Henry.
Maybe, my friend. I mean,
if he would have done that against Roman Reigns and actually waited until Reigns had his back turned, he might have had a chance.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Reigns is strong and all, but he's not 400 pounds strong.
Exactly. You know, you're absolutely right. And I gotta say, in all sincerity, my two picks for the armbar right now that I believe are going to win at this moment, and I'll just, again, when we do preview predictions, I'll really go into it. But right now, it would have to be Curtis Axel and Mizdow.
Mizdow is my pick.
Really? See, yeah. Okay, so we do share that at least. But, yeah, Henry does stand tall. They did promotion like this for the armbar last year, I remember. It's always a nice little way to say, oh, look what you have to look forward to in 13 nights. It's harmless.
Hey, guys, guess what? We have 2 Royal Rumbles now.
Exactly. Listen to you. All right, we go from that to Paul Heyman is in the ring. And he pretty much cuts his, I think as you called it, like a heart attack waiting to happen promo of the week, of the night. And he says, Brock Lesnar.
Honestly, dude, I'm not even going to lie. When his mic got cut off at first, I thought that he was concerned that he was going to actually have a heart attack. Like, the look that he had, I thought he was like, oh God, it's getting harder to breathe. what's going on with me right now? I can't have a heart attack on live television. This isn't happening. But no, as it turns out, they just cut out his mic, and he's pissed about that. So
he pretty much, extols the virtues of the Beast. Brock Lesnar says he's the best. He's not a pacifist. He's coming to WrestleMania to make war with Roman Reigns. And he reminds everybody, look, you're stuck with my client as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and it's not a damn thing. This is where the mic goes out. And you say, that's fine that you do that to me. But what are you going to do to stop Brock Lesnar? And he poses that question. He says, look, you can do whatever you want to me. You can cut the mic. You can do whatever. But I'm not Brock Lesnar. And Brock Lesnar's the one with your title. And then, Heyman, he goes back to Roman Reigns. He says Roman Reigns isn't going to stop Brock Lesnar. And he says, he was a standout. He was the best and brightest on NXT. He was this, he was that. But against Brock Lesnar, Lesnar's going to bitch slap him at WrestleMania. And he's going to give Reigns what he calls a prison beating. And then Heyman...
Which is funny, because I imagined he was kind of using his language to paint a picture of Roman Reigns being, like, laying on the ground. I was just like, maybe you don't want to talk about prison while Brock Lesnar is coming up behind Roman Reigns while he's standing and Reigns is bending over on the ground. It just doesn't paint a pretty picture.
Lesnar's going to come up from behind to German suplex Roman Reigns.
Yeah, really.
But and then he does that one thing that Roman Reigns hates, Ashton. He says he can't. And them's fighting words. Because as soon as Heyman throws that out, Roman Reigns' music hits. And Reigns, he seems surprisingly calm to me, because he comes out and he says, you know what? I have a lot of respect for you, Paul. I really do. You might be the best talker in the business today. And he says, you know what? I don't think you're disrespecting me and my family. I just think you're letting everybody know what they're in for. And you know what? If it's all right with you, I'm going to talk to your client now, Brock Lesnar. And I don't know if this is correct or not, Ashton. Did you hear a Daniel Bryan chant break out as well during Reigns' promo, or was that just me?
I don't know. I heard a chant, but I had no clue who it was for.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was Bryan, if it was Lesnar, what was going on there. But he pretty much says to Lesnar that he wishes that Lesnar was in his face right now, and he says he's expecting a fight and hoping for a war. He says he may be carried out of WrestleMania, but he will have the title on his shoulder. Reigns says he's going to beat Lesnar's ass at WrestleMania because he can, he will, and he believes it. Was it you, Ashton, that said that you fully expect the closing line of the main event at WrestleMania to be Michael Cole saying, and tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Roman Reigns proved that indeed he can? Because they're really building up that he can't crap. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was
No, I think that my whole thing was I was expecting someone to be like, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, at WrestleMania, Roman truly does reign.
So many puns. So yeah, we have options at least. That's good to have options. But Reigns, pretty much that's how his promo ends. Renee Young catches up with Paul Heyman. Heyman pretty much, says he's excited. Things are really picking up now. And, he likes the game that Roman Reigns is playing, but now he's going to have a chance to do it with Brock Lesnar because he's going to have a chance to be face-to-face with Brock Lesnar next week on Raw. So it's nice to see that Lesnar's going to show up on the go-home show for WrestleMania when the title's on the line, and we've had the most legitimate champion that we've had in quite some time finally confronting his Royal Rumble winner challenger. Real nice. So, yeah, looking forward to that. We get our six-man tag match, Stardust, Luke Harper, and Bad News Barrett versus Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, and Dean Ambrose. R-Truth does make an appearance with the title, but he is on commentary. Again, he is entertaining there. I just wish he would freaking compete.
I know, right? I keep on getting confused because they have all these six-man tag matches, and the odd man out is consistently R-Truth, and I'm just like, where is this dude?
I think WWE's trying to confuse me because they're like, he's not wearing himself out. He sees this as a war of attrition, so everybody else is killing each other. R-Truth is staying healthy, and he'll probably win that ladder match at WrestleMania. But, man, the only thing crazier than the hot potato they're playing with the championship is, for me personally, about who I think is going to win this thing. But as far as this tag match goes, not bad. It was a fun little affair. Towards the tail end, we did have a miscue between Ziggler and Bryan. Ziggler accidentally super kicked Daniel Bryan. He then takes
accidentally in hard quotes.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And then he gets taken out, I believe, by, Bad News Barrett. And then Bad News Barrett goes to do the bull hammer to Dean Ambrose, but Dean, being his amazing self, is like, no. Countered, because he turns that around right into a Dirty Deeds. And so the babyfaces, despite their miscue, end up winning. That's a rarity right there. So way to go, heels.
It might be a rarity, but it did happen.
Indeed it did.
There's no denying the existence.
Exactly. After the matchup, Ashton, we get a huge melee over the Intercontinental Championship. Again, Harper stalks Truth for the belt. He ends up again. It just ends up going back and forth. That's right. Stardust ends up getting at one point. He goes through the crowd. Ambrose, though, stops him. He gets him there. The belt gets thrown over the security barricade. Truth picks it up. That's when Harper confronts Truth, kind of wags his finger, which is pretty weird for Harper. And then Truth is kind of...
That dude, he's been doing that every single week.
I know, right? But it's still just so weird for a guy that, I don't know, just like, I'm like, oh, okay. And then Truth just kind of moves the belt side to side, finally tosses it in the ring,
Yeah, he moves the belt side to side to try and juke Luke Harper out and confuse him because he thinks he's an idiot.
Exactly. And then he throws it in the ring. Bryan grabs it and stares at it because the big thing for Bryan is, he wins the Intercontinental Championship. He'll be a Grand Slam champion because the Intercontinental title is the only belt he has not held. But then Ziggler kind of grabs it and he says, hey, it's mine, and they kind of exchange words, and then they exchange fists. It boils down. And
what a great way of putting it.
Exactly.
And then they exchange fists.
Like men! Yeah! Wrestling! Yeah! and the crowd just they do get a nice pop for this. But then my favorite part, because it's been freaking building for 3 weeks, Barrett loses his shit, and he comes in and he lays out everybody. Bullhammer for you, and you get a bullhammer, and you get a bullhammer. Who else wants some? Like he has.
Who's the bloody man?
Who's the bloody man now?
I am. That's right.
And he gets his title, and I love it, dude, because I think I was even a bit irritated either last Raw TWitWoW or the one before that with how much of a joke Barrett's been looking like, because I felt like he was in for a great year. I love the Bad News Barrett character and everything else, and everybody knows my gripes with BNZ and everything else, so I'm not going to gloss over that verbatim. But it was so great to see the actual freaking champion, which if you're a casual viewer, I don't even know if you would even know that Barrett was the champion with how the title's been hot potato and everything and just everything else. At times I have to even remind myself that Barrett is the champion with how many exchanges have gone on. But he lays out everybody, even R-Truth, he gets up in his face. And R-Truth's like putting his hands up. He's being all peaceful and like, hey man, hey, we're cool, no problem. And apparently that's not good enough for Barrett, so he still lays Truth out with a bullhammer. He destroyed everybody. He was sick of everybody's shit. And then he goes up the stage, and then he climbs the ladder and he poses with the title. I just couldn't stop laughing. I really enjoyed this, and it's nice to see that Barrett has his title 13 days away to WrestleMania. Will he lose it even as early as this Thursday on SmackDown? Probably, but at least he got it back for the night, and I think that's, worth saying at least something. So there you go.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay, do you have anything you want to add, or can I move on to the next segment?
Man, I feel like this was pretty much hands down the match of the night. It really didn't have a ton of competition. I would say that the Divas match was actually the second best match of the night.
Right.
But it was a fun segment overall.
Definitely. Yeah, I really have no contentions with you there. Moving on, we see Triple H and Stephanie McMahon backstage. Seth Rollins comes in and he pretty much talks about how, I can't believe this. I'm all alone. Everybody's left me. What are you guys going to do to fix this? And then, Steffi says, well, you're a big boy, Seth. You've made your own bed, and now it's time for you to go and lay in it and take responsibility for your actions. And then Rollins gets upset, and he says, hey, Stephanie, you're the one who sent Kane and Big Show home last week when they should have been in my corner when I was having my tag match with Orton, and then he just betrayed me and beat the bejesus out of me. And then when he berates Stephanie, Triple H takes issue with that, and he says, "Who the hell do you think you are?" And then Rollins, says, "Oh, so now you're done playing hide and seek with Sting, huh? And you're gonna help me?" And Triple H gets in his face. He looks like he's like up to a boil. And then Rollins says, "Oh, what? You're not really gonna jeopardize the future of your company, are you?" "Yeah, that's what I thought." And then Stephanie tells Rollins, "You know what? Man up if you can." Ooh, so how many people collectively is Stephanie emasculated? Because I just feel like if you kept a running counter going, somebody would give up at this point for all the people she just hands their ass to on a regular basis. God, Stephanie's awesome. But, yeah, Seth leaves, trying to formulate, I guess, a new plan. We have a commercial break. We come back. We see Bray Wyatt talking about, the Undertaker's response last week with, Bray Wyatt, Sister Abigail's chair, and then setting that on fire. And Bray talks about the first time he ever met Abigail and said she was so beautiful, not just in the way she looked, but in what she said, because she warned me about people like you, Undertaker. Your fate is sealed, and WrestleMania will be your final resting place, but it'll be my coronation where I take my rightful place among the gods. And we see that he has like an urn with him, and he opens it, and it's just the ash that he says the Undertaker is going to be reduced to, because Bray Wyatt is the new face of fear. Been loving Bray's work here. I think it's a real testament, because in most programs, it always takes two people. And yes, Undertaker did his mind games last week, but this has been 95% Bray Wyatt. And considering that he's been, carting this whole thing along.
Yeah, I was just going to say, remember how last week I said something about how we need to get Paul Heyman a back brace? Well, apparently we need to order one in Bray Wyatt's size, too, because he's been carrying this feud as well.
Absolutely. And you know what? I almost think he needed to carry this feud, because I know, and I'll even say this for myself, like, I get why fans like yourself, Ashton, had criticisms of his promos. Other people were like, yeah, it was whatever. I feel like he needed this experience to get people interested in him on a promo level again, on a mental, more cerebral level again. So I'm actually glad this happened. And for me personally, he passed the test with flying colors. I have been really engaged with everything Wyatt has done. And the only thing, like, I even tell people, this is my most anticipated match for WrestleMania, but I have to remind myself just the Undertaker's physical condition and his age, and I don't know. Like, I have to keep my expectations realistic, because I feel like Wyatt's done so well, and I think I always have this romanticized version of the Undertaker, but that really violently clashes with reality. So we'll see what these two produce, but Bray has done wonderful work.
Yeah.
That said, Ashton, we go to our main event segment of the night, and I say segment because if you thought that these two were actually going to compete, well, I got news for you, they didn't. Because Randy Orton comes out, he's fully prepared. He's like, yeah, going to get my match with Seth Rollins, and even though I don't tonight, I still got WrestleMania, so yeah! And then Seth comes out, and he had a microphone in hand, and I told Ashton, well, it's over. He's got a microphone. This match ain't happening. He's going to perpetuate his trap. And he pretty much says, Randy, you spent 3 weeks making a fool out of the Authority. And then he starts laughing. And he says, but it only took me 3 hours to make you look like a fool in front of the whole world. And then Triple H's music hits. Out comes the Authority. Every single member of them in unison, feeling totally united, all that camaraderie, all that good stuff. Orton's like, oh, hell no, I'm prepared for this. So he goes outside, he tells somebody to get up, he grabs a steel chair, so he does arm himself, but they surround the ring, that being the Authority, Shield style, and they're prepared to perpetuate an attack on Orton. But then suddenly the light goes out, you hear the bird caw, lights come back on, and it's Sting with a baseball bat. Randy Orton has this look on his face like, what's going on? You know what? Screw it, I'll take it. And he hits Big Show with a chair. And, long story short, they clear the ring out, leaving J&J Security alone with Sting and Orton. Sting nails a Stinger splash in the corner to both members of J&J Security. He hit a Scorpion Death Drop on Jamie Noble, and I wonder how much of a little kid Jamie Noble felt like getting to have physicality with Sting. Joey Mercury ate an RKO from Randy Orton, and the Viper and the Stinger stand tall together in the ring as the Authority looks on 13 days till WrestleMania. Sting looks pumped, he looks good, and Orton just looks really focused to get his hands on Rollins. This is a high-energy close to Raw, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this was the great way to close Raw, and then they actually ended up, after Raw, there was a segment on the app that was Sting talking, and he said something about, it was Randy Orton talking to, and Orton said that normally he's not a guy who expects anybody else to help him, and that he didn't ask for Sting's help, but he has to admit that was pretty damn cool. And then Sting grabs the mic and he's just basically hypes everyone up about how he's finally in a WWE ring, and he's waited 14 years for this, and it feels, I think he said something about how it feels smoking good. So there's your stinger.
It feels really weird to say that this was Sting's first live promo, like where he actually spoke to a crowd in a WWE ring. And yeah, it was pretty much just sending that message to Triple H. I enjoyed all of it. This is a great close to Raw. So with that said, Ashton, do you have anything else you want to say before we move on to our next segment?
Nope.
All right. High spots and low shots. You know what? My low shot's Eric Rowan. He got decimated. He didn't even have a match tonight. You can't even say that he was a loser because there was no formal matchup. He just got beat in the middle of the ring, and he was nothing more than an object for Big Show's frustrations. So, we just keep talking about the fall of Eric Rowan. Well, I don't think he has to fall anymore because he's hit bottom. So, Eric Rowan's my low shot tonight.
All right. Let's see. My low shot. I think my low shot is going to be Seth Rollins, I think, for the second week in a row.
Yeah.
Because he spent this entire show making an idiot out of himself in an effort to try to, at the end of the show, make an idiot out of Randy Orton, and not even that worked, because Sting kind of threw everyone for a loop a little bit and kind of foiled Rollins' little plan there. So, yeah, Rollins is going to be second week in a row, my low shot.
Yeah, I certainly can't blame you there. I love Seth Rollins to death. I think anybody who knows me knows that. But come on, Seth, you got to get back in the game. You got to do better than that, brother. But that said, my high spot, I don't know how many chances I'm going to get to say this, so I'm going to say it here, is Sting. Comes out, makes the save, gets a huge pop. I mean, people were clamoring for him even before he made his presence known. Like I said, he looked good. He did a stinger splash, Scorpion Death Drop, and he even spoke. So all the momentum, all the mind games seemed to be in Sting's corner, and he stuck it to the Authority for the third straight time. So, yeah, I don't know how many chances I'm going to get to do this, so my high spot is Sting.
I like that. I like that a lot. You know what? My high spot is Bad News Barrett, because he finally got his freaking championship back.
Dude, completely agree with you, and I will sign on to that wholeheartedly. Not only did he get his championship back, he got it back with dominance, because he gave a bullhammer to everybody. So, love your pick there. Completely agree. With that said, let's move on to our next segment, Raw Request. And you know what? My Raw request, I think this may be another week where I try. You know what? No. My Raw request, let Seth Rollins get one over on Randy Orton before Mania. I'm thinking he may.
No, I don't want him to.
I think he's looking like an idiot, dude. Well, Randy...
yeah, I mean, that's because his character now is an idiot, apparently. But, I mean, having him get one over on Randy Orton isn't going to make him look like any less of an idiot this week or last week.
Yeah, but the thing is, dude, like, if he looks like an idiot again on the go-home show, it goes back to that basic principle. Who did Randy Orton beat at Mania? I mean, yeah, you could say, the guy that took him out for so many months.
Yeah, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. He's not concerned with beating somebody who's super prestigious. Otherwise, he would be going after a championship.
But how bad does it make Orton look that this guy who's looking like an idiot was able to take him out for all those months? I mean...
He wasn't looking like an idiot back then.
Well, I don't know what happened, but they need to get back on the course. I want that Seth Rollins who took Randy Orton out. I think a lot of people were thinking that this match is going to be the sleeper on the card, the match that could really steal the show, captivate the crowd, do all that good stuff. And, I'm into it, and I think from an in-ring standpoint, this match will kill, especially if it's given, 15 minutes. But the story... honestly, I'm looking more forward to the rematch, because I'm almost certain there's going to be a rematch at Extreme Rules. I'm almost looking more forward to the rematch. But yeah, my Raw request, have Seth Rollins get one over on Randy Orton before WrestleMania. Either this SmackDown or Raw or the go-home SmackDown. Just, lay him out, brutalize him, remind him, who you are and why you took him out to begin with. So that's my Raw request.
All right. My Raw request is to continue giving the Divas more time. However, stop putting frickin' commercial breaks in the middle of their matches.
I think you could say that about a lot of matches, but yeah, I think with the Divas
matches...
I
could say that about a lot of matches, but the Divas are the only ones that get it every single time.
Yeah, that is true. And not only that, I think they're the ones that are just finally starting to get a little bit of momentum with the whole Give Divas a Chance thing, and their matches now are starting to get a more respectable amount of time on the main roster. Now is not the time to be undercutting them with advertisements. You need to let them go out and do their thing because they need it more than anybody else on the roster. Anybody else could suffer that, and they're not going to be any worse for wear. This is I don't think it's hyperbolic in saying this could be a pivotal time for the Divas. Because, this whole campaign's going on, and they need to prove that they're worth it, and I think they have so far. When they do get time, I don't see anything horrendous with their matches. I actually enjoy them. So, yeah, I can sign on to that. Cut the advertisements out, let them go full throttle, and show everybody what they can do. And, yeah, just reap the benefits after the fact. So, I agree with that, which only leaves one segment left. 30-second hot seat. What do you have for me this week?
What do I have for you this week?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, since you already kind of said that your Raw request was for Rollins to get one up on Randy Orton, I can't really make the 30-second hot seat about that feud. So I'm going to just change it up a little bit, and I'm going to make this one extremely simple. You'll probably be able to answer it in 10 seconds. What do you think should happen between Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker at WrestleMania? You have 30 seconds. And your time starts now.
What I would personally like to see happen is Bray Wyatt goes over The Undertaker, and then this summer, because you figure we'll be going into April and then May and June, sometime in the summer he feuds with Roman Reigns for the championship. I would love to see Bray Wyatt get in the program for the world title, and I think Undertaker is the ultimate stepping stone to getting there. So have Bray go over The Undertaker, and then soon afterwards, specifically in the summertime, become the number one contender for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
Okay, there you go.
All right. With that said, Ashton, do you have any concluding remarks about this episode of Raw?
I don't.
All right. Then with that said, guys, this has been Monday Night Raw. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. What did you think of Raw this week? What did you think about Sting's Raw appearance? What match so far, on the WrestleMania card are you most anticipating? Be sure to shift the discussion both over to TWitWoW, an amazing pro wrestling group on Facebook. Some really great and wonderful wrestling fans there. And our TWitWoW subreddit. You can also take the discussion over there as well. And until then, we will see you again for our Lucha Underground review, where Phoenix takes on Mil Muertes in a coffin match.
Or so we think.
Or so we think, indeed. We don't know if it's going to be a formal matchup, but I can guarantee this.
Well, I mean, we don't know if it's going to be actually called a coffin match or not. That's
we don't know what it's going to be called or anything like that. But what I can guarantee, one man's soul will be laid to rest. Will it be Phoenix or will it be Mil Muertes? You'll get all your best coverage here on TWitWoW. Until then, guys, tune in and peace out.